you. Thank you.
It's only once every other month, usually more than that. Oh, now they can mow the yard. And the meetings are like 30 minutes.
You,
It is what it is. How it goes.
Yep. Is anybody going to National Day Fair tomorrow besides me?
where?
Where is it?
Tabernacle.
I'll be out, but I noticed there's a float, or there was a float in the parking lot next door.
A float?
There was, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, there's one out there that says something about. Oh, did they?
That was like over the weekend.
They know that?
What is it?
All you sinners, just stay home, okay? I'll go take care of us all.
Someone. Thank goodness someone.
I'm making you my proxy, okay?
In honor of Jason Maxwell, I am standing up here.
I texted him just a little bit ago. I reminded him. I said I should have reminded you earlier today. Sorry.
Yeah, that's your cue, Sheriff.
Just stay up here, because I'm gonna have you get a prayer here in a minute. Come on down.
Get you warmed up for tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, Billy.
All right. Go. You ready?
He's got it prepared already.
Am I on? Yeah. Am I on? We're going to call the meeting to order for the Morgan County Council for May the 4th, 2022. And I think, is the sheriff really going to do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's really gonna do it.
Okay, we're going to have the sheriff do our prayer this evening, and then, Jason, if you'll lead us in the pledge, that would be great. We'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we please. Dear Lord, we'd like to take this time to thank you for all our blessings that we receive and all the good tidings that you send our way. We ask that you be with each and every one of us tonight as we do the work for the county and the state. That you lead us in our knowledge for the taxpayers, for those that we serve. We ask that you be with each one of our law enforcement officials, first responders as they go through the day, serving this community, and especially with their families also. That listen to what they see and hear every day. We ask that you give the knowledge to this group, to the group that we serve day in and our lives. We ask this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's nice. All right. Has everyone had a chance to, let me do the roll call first. Let the record show that we are all in attendance except Troy Sprinkle tonight. Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes from our April 18th meeting? Were there any questions or changes on that? Having none, I look for a motion to approve those minutes.
Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
All those in favor, I'm sorry.
Melissa Green will second that.
All those, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries 6-0. So we've got some additional appropriations this evening. Looks like the first one comes from the commissioners, and it's in the amount of $20,000. The commission, I know you're here, Don. Do you care if I just, okay. Yeah, Josh isn't here. We changed our meeting this month because of the election and things, and so Josh he's having birthday dinner with his daughter, so we told him we'd let him pass tonight, so it's all right. It's all right. We have a additional appropriation request from the commissioners in the amount of $20,000. I think most of you are aware of a court-ordered land issue that was occurring at Waverly, and that has been what we call a property acquisition order in the amount, I believe this total at 20,000 also includes some of the appraisal fees that were included and the ordered amount to pay. So we're looking for, they're looking for that additional appropriation of the 20,000. And they're looking for us to make a decision where that comes from. And I think they've presented it a few different ways there. So as you review that, you want to, did anyone have questions? I think you're all aware of the situation.
Kelly Akala will make a motion to approve the $20,000 from Riverboot Revenue Sharing Fund.
Okay, we have a motion of the 20,000 from the Riverboat Sharing Fund to the general fund, correct? No.
No, from River.
Within the fund, okay, I apologize.
Vicky Kivett will make that second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is get my papers here, Board of Health. Jeannie, did you have something to present to us? Sprinkle is calling.
Well, I don't know that I have anything to present, but we have requested from the state $6,000 from local health maintenance fund to some of our rollover money to use it for group health insurance for our vital records clerk that we pay out of that fund. So that's the $6,000 that we would like to get appropriated. And then I don't know if you want me to talk about the local health maintenance fund now or wait until.
Let's do this one first.
Okay.
So this is, I don't know if I'm familiar with this one. Are you, Vicki? The sixth thing?
She's paid out of the local maintenance health fund, correct, Jeannie?
Yes.
And so,
We had enough in, the local health maintenance fund is $48,859, I believe, annually. We had enough to pay her salary and all of her benefits. We were short about $6,000 for the group health insurance. So that's
Okay.
why we requested to have some additional money carried, some of the carryover used.
Okay. Did anyone else have any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Chip Keller will make a motion to approve the $6,000 additional appropriation to group health insurance.
Thank you, Chip. We have a motion
Kelly Akala will second.
and a second. So Chip made the motion and Kelly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. So, yes, Jeannie.
So we
if you
want to
wanna-
go ahead with local health
Sure,
maintenance.
while you're up there, let's do that.
Okay, okay, now wait a minute, that was local health maintenance. Now we're in the trust account, Fund 1206. We also, at the same time, requested $33,000 of the carryover funds from that fund to pay a part-time environmentalist to help with septics this spring, some extra help funds, and then FICA for those two positions.
Okay.
So this is another position?
It's a new what, huh?
Is this a new position?
No.
No, it's
We
just-
currently have a part-time person that we call in as we need to from this fund.
So it just
This is
wasn't-
just some extra money to,
So it wasn't budgeted for this year?
no, it was not budgeted for this year.
so what, do you have one full-time environmental?
We have two full-time environmentalists who do septics, one full-time environmentalist who does foods. In the springtime, well, Bobby has about 500 hours of PTO time that he needs to be using some of. So we were wanting to get a part-time person in to kind of help, not only help with the busy time in the spring and summer, but also to kind of be there when someone's off on vacation. And that's basically what we're wanting to do with the extra help line item is as the gals are out on vacation, we kind of need to call someone in sometimes to help.
So this is a new position, a new part-time position then?
I mean, what's been done in the past? I mean, you've had, obviously.
In the past, we have had a part-time environmentalist. We just had not utilized that for a while. But I think it is still in our, we still have a line item for it.
Is that because the last few years, construction and all has been down and the need hasn't been there?
Well, last couple of years, COVID hit, and things have been kind of, all over the place. I mean.
Is it on the
so-
salary ordinance? Dan, we have a part-time position on the salary ordinance?
Yes, $28.80 an hour.
You just hadn't put anything in that line for your budget.
That's
for
correct. We
2022.
had not, the last few years, we've used it for other things. And so we have asked to get this money so we can then go ahead and have a part-time environmentalist.
So you said you used it for other things. Do you mean the money that we've appropriated in the last few years?
The funds that we have budgeted in prior years, we've used it for part-time nursing. I've had a little bit in for part-time help.
So you transferred it to other line items in your budget?
No, that's
I'm confused.
all, no. I think we budgeted 6,000.
There's 4,000 in the trust fund currently appropriated for part-time.
Part-time, okay.
So there was some money in the
So-
line.
But is
There
it,
is no money appropriated in the health fund budget, but there is money appropriated in the health trust fund, which is what her request is for tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeannie, but
No.
the processes for the trust fund and the maintenance fund, it first has to be presented to the state to review and get
Right.
their blessing, and then it goes to the council for consideration to be appropriated.
That's correct.
So she's already requested the review at the state level, and they've given their okay. And
Their
now she's
approval, yeah.
before you to get your approval, but, and consideration. But, yes, there is, this is an increase, or would be a $10,000 increase to the part-time account in the trust fund. Currently, there is no part-time environmental health specialist. There is a part-time nurse appropriation in the trust fund. But this instance where now she's, now there would also be an environmental health specialist.
Right.
Part-time position in the trust fund.
So the
I bel-
10,000 that says extra help is for what type of position? Nurse?
Well,
I'm sorry.
The 20,000 says part-time environmental health specialist, and then 10,000 just says extra help. So what kind of position?
That's like clerical.
Clerical.
The clerical, yeah, they call it extra help on, I think, our salary ordinance.
so your environmental health specialists, that's your guys that go out and inspect septic fields and what else? And restaurant inspections, that
No,
employee?
Elizabeth does all of our food inspections.
And what title is she?
She's an environmental specialist.
But not health specialist?
No, they're all called environmental health specialists. She
Same
just,
title. She just does one thing and he
yeah,
does a
right,
different portion.
right. Sorry.
That's all right.
So you got a total of 3 environmental health specialists? Okay.
That's correct, 3 full-time. Used to have 4 full-time, and the council cut it back several years ago.
So on the extra help, on the clerical portion, am I hearing you right, that that's like covering when people are on vacation?
Right, and yeah, as we need extra help, we'll call them in, yes.
That would be for the example of the clinic secretary or the vital records clerk, to fill in for those when they're
Yeah,
absent, is that correct?
when they go on, have a vacation or days off, yes.
I see the need, I guess I'm just a little puzzled why it wasn't in the budget when we did, when the original budget was done. Is it
Well,
not something you
the-
anticipate
on the
each year?
trust account, we have $32,000. We budgeted it as far as we could, and then we didn't have enough to ask for this, or, to cover a part-time environmentalist, nor the extra help, the extra on the extra help. We knew we had the carryover money year after year after year. We've got quite a bit accumulated there, and so we decided to ask for this to be now appropriated so that we can utilize some of the money.
Do you anticipate each year to need this?
We
Like to
might-
need the help,
We might do
probably?
that, yeah.
So we need to
might
find a way
do
to
that.
Put it in the budget then.
Need to kind of look at that at budget time so that we maybe not have
Okay.
to have that.
You all do need to realize I'm usually pretty busy at budget time, but yeah, I try to get to it as I'll try to do that.
But in the trust fund currently, there is $151,900 of estimated unappropriated money in that fund.
Okay,
So it has pretty,
it's pretty healthy.
the maintenance fund has a estimated $85,646 of unappropriated funds or excess funds.
Those funds have rolled over
Right.
the whole time I've worked at the health department.
Yeah.
So, I don't feel like anyone can say that we're not good stewardship.
No, we're not saying that,
We
Jeannie.
don't blow money just to be blowing it.
Yeah, we understand. We're not saying that.
Well,
Can you, I'm trying to understand the process and the interaction with the state, so can you, at budget, I know there is the distribution they're gonna send you, like, for the trust fund. we had
Every year we get a
32,000,
certain amount, yes.
And for the maintenance fund, we had 51,000 for this year.
Well, it's 48,859. We had already, or you're adding in the 6,000, I guess, for the, what they just approved today.
Not that I know of. I know that, I'm looking at my financial, and from somewhere, I got 51,000, so we're in that neighborhood,
Okay,
but my question
it
is,
might be what's rolled over too, or,
so
not
you
rolled over.
went to them now and requested, to, whether, put for them the request to use, unused rolled over funds. Is that something you could also do at budget time?
That's what I believe they were saying, and I
Right, I know
said,
that's
I
what
will certainly try to do that.
Okay,
I
know that's what they were saying.
get
I
pretty
didn't know if that-
busy, and here again, too, if y'all want to think about us getting the clerical people in, I have my plate full. When I have a girl that's off on vacation, since Kelly's issue came up, I have to do my work plus go out and help the girls out front because we have 2 full-time vital records and 1 clinic person. So it kind of ties me up when I'm having to be out helping them do their jobs and to get everything that I have to do get done. And I really kind of feel like the county does not realize the burden that is on my position. But anyway, I've tried to explain it. People don't seem to understand it. So anyway.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Have you hired employees recently?
We have someone to replace Kelly. We're currently trying to train her. Yeah.
Well, you are appreciated. We want you to know that.
Yeah.
You've done a lot. You've done the exit and the return, and you do have a lot on your plate, and we appreciate you. So does everyone have their head around what the request is here?
Yeah, sounds like these rollover funds are kind of like a mini rainy day fund inside the health department, and
Yeah, it's not gonna
so
put
this
us,
is a perfect use of that in my
Yep.
mind, so. But we do need to try and address all these concerns here.
yeah, we do.
Because the stress on that is evident, so.
Yep, it is evident. So hearing that, I look for a motion. Get my papers back over here. For Jeannie's request from the Health Department of the Local Health Trust Fund 1206.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jason. We have a motion for approval of the Health Fund 1206 for the total of $33,000.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Troy. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0, and just for the record, we are now at 7-0 because Troy is here, so we have a full council. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Tim, what so our minutes may say some at 6-0, some at 7-0.
Somebody hug me.
All right. Looks like the next thing on our agenda is the America's Recovery Plan Act Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, and the commissioners have made a request of a total of $150,000. And as you see there, it's what this is kind of a placehold for some of those funds that we've gotten, and kind of just setting a place for those. And they've requested in supplies, other services, and charges and equipment for a total of $50,000 each, for a total of $150,000.
So do we have a plan what's being spent for?
They're starting to work a plan, but they're just starting to kind of have those kind of general areas of where they can be used, and meet the ARPA guidelines.
So nothing's been spent yet, they just
No,
want to appropriate money?
Nothing has been spent. It's just the allocation. They're just requesting to create those locations for the funds to fall into, and then they'll look at spending them later. But there's no plan made, because the committees are kind of just being formed. I think the folks have been notified that are going to be on kind of those.
Have ours?
We've given the names to Josh that we came up with, and Josh was going to make the contacts and see if those folks were interested. And have you gotten a letter? You're on the list. So yeah, that's coming together, but I think this is just a place setting to start that process. Is that a good description of that, Commissioner? Thank you, sir. Is there questions or comments on that?
I guess I would just like to see what it's being spent for, as opposed to approving it prior to knowing what it needs to be used for. It's,
Which is a small amount. At that 150 is a kind of a small number of that total to just get started with. Yes, exactly. And they're kind of, I mean, the spots are there as far as what, supplies, other services and charges and equipment, so.
The thought process is that this is to have a budget available, so when the county, if it started incurring expenses in developing the plan, that we have a budget to use to pay for those expenses. But that's what this is.
As far as supplies, can we kind of have some kind of example? Are we talking boxes of ink pens, or are we talking about?
All I can tell you is that anything expended, we have to make certain that it falls within the parameters of the grant, the funding, ARPA funding. I believe, and I don't want to speak for the commissioners too much, but I believe one of the intended uses of the money is to hire a consultant who is knowledgeable in the rules and regulations and ever-changing rules and regulations around ARPA funds. And so that would be the first immediate need when the decision is made on hiring a consultant to help with that, to help guide the county and keep us within the guardrails on using this money.
I had assumed that we took the standard allowance of 10 million for lost revenue. So of that 10 million, it can be used for any governmental purpose. So they
Still has to be,
appropriated. Yeah, it has to be appropriated, but what I'm saying is there's no other than it saying other governmental services, there's no other guardrails. The guardrails will come on the amount above 10 million.
This is correct.
So that's that's all I'm saying.
13.7,
Yes, yes.
$13.78. The dollars that we must be assured of
Right.
that we're spending within the guidelines
Yes.
is
The
3.7.
3 point, yes. Okay.
I thought we'd already talked about a consultant. I thought that was, we'd already kind of given our,
not yet.
No budget's been
I got you.
established for it.
I got you.
Yeah, we've talked about the need for it, and we agreed as a whole that it is needed to have someone guide us through that
It's
process.
complicated and there will be a need.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to approve $150,000 out of the ARPA fund.
Thank you, Kelly Acala,
Jason Maxwell seconds.
and Jason Maxwell seconds. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. No transfers? Well, yes, there is a transfer. I'm looking at my old one. So you guys have a new agenda that is not much different, except we do have a transfer on there. Let's see, move it. Yes. Come on up, Lindsay. Has given us, is this? To us about a couple things tonight, aren't you?
Yes. Do you want me
Okay.
to start with the transfer?
Yeah, we're gonna look at the transfer first.
Okay. So the transfer is, we have a pretty big budget for the memorial flags that we do every year. And what that is we order about 7,000 flags to be put on veterans' graves throughout the county. The American Legion picks those up. They're picking those up from our office on Monday and splits it with the American Legion in Mooresville. And then those volunteers go and put them on the graves throughout the county at most of the cemeteries. So because that budget is so large, and I don't know if prices have just gone down in subsequent years, we have leftover money there, which is good because we didn't have enough in software to cover what we needed this year. So software, we have our claims management system is VetraSpec, and that costs about $400, almost $500 for each license. And the state, Indiana Department of VA, covers one license per county veteran service office. So we have to cover the other one. So we had requested that, and we had requested the money for 2 licenses for Adobe, so that we can use that software to kind of manipulate and merge documents and things that we need to filing claims. And what we did was we worked with Joel and decided to not do Adobe this year because it actually ends up being very expensive. We were only approved for that $500 for the extra license. So we worked it out to where we can get the Kofax program that he recommended, which ends up being way cheaper, and it's actually good for forever now that we have it. And it's cheaper than both of the licenses. So that $276 covers those 2 licenses in our office for the Kofax program, which we now have. And then we don't have to worry about requesting that in our budget ever again. But we were able to cover that one VetraSpec license. So part of that money would go to that. The other part is $800 for travel and lodging. So for, I'm assuming 3 years, I'm not sure if Rick did traveling before I got here, but obviously since I've been here is when COVID started. And we have a travel and lodging fund, and we have conference fund. So this year we're actually going to go to our conference. The National Association of CVSOs has a conference and training every year, which is really beneficial. The last 2 years it's been online, and we still had that option, but we opted this year to go ahead and use those funds that usually just sit there to go ahead and travel to San Antonio between June 5th and June 10th. And in addition to obviously gaining the education and training that we'll get, we'll be able to kind of meet with other CVSOs in our state and across the country and actually meet the people who have been giving us our training. And so we were short because things are expensive. So the travel and we paid for the hotel, we booked that, we paid for 2 of us to go to the conference, and we were just a little bit short for airline tickets. And we were able to wait until the airline tickets went down a little bit, and then that's what the other portion would cover. And then we don't foresee any other travel needs at all for the rest of the budget season, so.
How much is in your memorial flag?
Memorial flags originally was, I think it was $5,500 total. And we ended up, 1,076 was what we had left after we ordered the 7,000
Okay.
flags.
So that's, all right, that makes sense.
And they're entitled to a per diem, aren't they, for food out there? Do you know about that,
I
Lindsay?
do not.
See Dan on that.
Okay.
Oh.
I will make a note.
Meals are not provided, you're entitled to per diem.
Okay. Yeah, I think like when we arrive, there's a social where maybe meals are provided that first night and then for the closing ceremony, so,
Yeah.
Usually not all the meals are provided.
right. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, get with me or Joyce and help
Okay.
you with that.
I will do that.
So on these licensing, you're just entering into a licensing agreement, no contractual agreement for ongoing services?
Right, whereas
Okay.
Adobe, we had used the county credit card when we did it before, and it was coming up on the time where we would have needed to renew that and put the invoice in and everything, and it was gonna be not quite 500, 480 something, I think, for the 2 licenses. So we canceled Adobe, you know, put a hold on that, worked with Joel, and he found us, I guess, the contract through the county so that we could get Kofax, and this is forever. It's not gonna be an
It's not-
annual thing.
Okay, and it's compatible with your system?
Compatible with
No?
everything. I mean, the
Okay.
buttons are different, the commands are different, but it
Is
works
it?
exactly the same.
It works for, I mean, it is
Dan said that's
quite
what he
a
has.
savings
Mm-hmm.
and so far, my experience with it, it works as well as Adobe.
Yes,
Oh, good.
exactly.
That's
You
great.
just kind of have to
You can do
learn.
file conversions, you can do.
Yes. And since I've gotten that program, I mean, the ease of claim filing, especially when you have, you know, signatures and then you're merging them with things, and then if things change, you can kind of edit the info. It's perfect.
Well, good, that's great. Anyone have any further questions or comments on that?
I'm hearing good things about you, Lindsay.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Anytime I see a veteran out with a hat, I approach them and let them know that you're here.
Good.
Oh, thank you.
And some of them have been dealing with you,
Mhm.
and they're very complimentary, so
That's awesome.
thank you.
I really love it.
job.
We've been really, really happy since we moved into the courthouse. I was there for, 2 weeks or so before we hired the assistant, and it's just night and day, the difference in the spaces. We could not be happier with them.
That's great, good news. All right, I'm looking for a motion then of a transfer of 1,076.66 from Memorial Flags to software licensing in the amount of $276.66 and travel and lodging in the amount of $800.
Chip Keller will make the motion to approve that transfer.
Chip, we have a motion,
Melissa Green will second that motion.
and Melissa Green will second. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you want to hang around? We'll go to part 2.
Yes. Okay, so the second part is what I handed, a handout just before we began tonight. I really appreciate you letting me come and speak about this. It was about a year ago, to the date almost, that I came and Rick came and we requested that my position as admin assistant be moved to be considered a deputy VSO position. So I hired Courtney Kemp, who is doing an amazing job. She's just everything I could possibly have ever hoped for in an assistant for this office, and she's also a Navy veteran, and she has a heart for this, I feel like the same way that I do, and she, you know, anticipates and my needs before I even tell her. I don't even have to speak, and she's got things done. She's excellent with the veterans, I mean, even more than I could have hoped. They seem to really take to her, and they open up to us, and everything is really going well there with the rapport with our clients and their families. So she's been here since January 24th, and like me, she completed her training within a month, and she passed it at 100%. I think I was 90-something.
That's
She passed it at 100% the first time up she took the test after she was qualified. And then she proceeded to get accredited with all 3 organizations, IDVA, American Legion, and VFW. We're both pursuing accreditations for the rest of the veteran organizations that are pretty common, like DAV and a couple of other ones. And the reason we're doing that, and we have never done that before, is because I now have access to the VA system called VBMS. It's Veteran Benefits Management System. So she is about to go and apply for her PIV card, and that is what I got last year. And what that enables us to do is use the CAC Reader card, and we can log right into the desktop at the VA, which lets us go in there as though we were calling the VA. When we call them, which is very often, to check on statuses of claims or see, you know, what has this person been denied for? What are they currently at? Those people look that stuff up in the system, and now we're those people. We can look that stuff up in the system. We can pull somebody up before they ever even come and see us. And the more organizations that we're accredited through, the better chance we'll have at accessing their info. So if for instance, we were only accredited with one, American Legion, which is in the past has served us well because we didn't have that capability, then if someone has come to us and they've never been to us before and they filed their claim 10 years ago through VFW, we wouldn't be able to have access to their stuff until we had them sign a new form and waited for the VA to upload it, which isn't a deal breaker. It's possible to do that. But at this rate, we're able to solve problems quicker, see things, and maybe even anticipate their needs before they come into the office so that we're not wasting extra time for them and vice versa. All of that to say that my point is she has already achieved 3 different organizations of accreditation right off the bat, has scored really well, is already filing claims and able to meet with clients separately, and they absolutely trust her. They, you know, they give her everything that they would give me. You know, they're comfortable with her. She really is the best decision I think that we've made. So I'm here to request, now that it's been a few months and she's in that position, that we move her from admin assistant to the deputy CVSO. And I know that when we talked about this last year, the justification was that it had not been in our budget for sure. We had not even considered something like that previously. And then last budget season, we were trying to go for that 3-person office thing, and we requested the admin assistant and a deputy, but it wasn't in the budget, and so we got the admin assistant, but it was at a higher rate than we even had asked for, which was great. So obviously, you know, just to be completely transparent, my goal is to someday have 1 million people in our office and have a fully functioning veteran service center. But until then, if we can do as best we can with 2 people in the office, which right now is how we're functioning, then moving her up to be recognized publicly as the deputy CVSO would be really helpful for our goals. So that increase would put her, if you approved that, that would put her at $45,760 for an annual salary. Currently, she makes $19.76 an hour. So what we're talking about annually is a difference of $4,501.12.
Say
It would-
that again, please.
Sure, $4,501.12. That's the difference between what she would make if you approved versus what she makes now. And then it would take it from non-exempt to an exempt position at 40 hours.
You presented that very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to give a little background, a little history, a lot of us were here, but when we brought the veteran service officer on, when Rick came on, then he was kind of a one-man doing it all, and we found out very quickly that he needed an assistant. It was just a need that our county had that had not been, I mean, it had been addressed, but we just didn't see what was really needed there. And so Rick quickly needed an assistant, and so we got an assistant, and Lindsay quickly became certified and became a deputy assistant. And you're correct, the ask was there for an assistant, and it just wasn't in the budget last year. So we're essentially, Rick retired, you're the Rick now.
I'm Rick now.
And so it's really just creating another Lindsay as Lindsay
Right.
came in. So, does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Courtney is now Lindsay, I'm Rick. Yeah.
I didn't present it quite as well as she did, but it's there, okay?
An increase in the budget, will we need an additional appropriation, Dan, later?
Either transfer or additional, yes.
Okay.
That's correct, Kelly. We'll have to shore up the budget in one manner, and we'll work with Lindsay on that
Okay.
as we go through the year. Or we'll take a look at it. If we see that we need to do an additional, or if it looks like that we definitely need to have an additional, I want to work with Lindsay to try to get that on the agenda for the June meeting. I'll just give you a heads up, I'm working now, well, not as much as I want to, but soon I have to devote more time to those obvious situations where we're going to need additionals before year end or transfers, to get those at the June meeting so that when we go into budgets, that our June 30 balances reflect
Yes.
half of a realistic budget. So be prepared.
We
June
love that.
June meeting could be a busy one.
Yep.
But yes, you're correct, Kelly. We'll need to do something with the budget.
But on our plate this evening is a request to change the administrative position to a deputy veteran service officer position, given her completed certification, and adjust that pay to the deputy veteran service officer. So we'll go from a non-exempt hourly to an exempt salary position.
We will be removing the administrative assistant position.
Correct.
I have no issue. I would make a motion that we approve that change.
We need to do an effective date.
Yes, we do, thank you.
Thank you.
See where we're at. I'd like to do it where we're at the start of the new payroll.
I'll amend my motion that we make that change effective the start of the new payroll.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the deputy veteran
Start of
service
the next
position
payroll period.
at the
Oh,
start of the
yes.
next payroll period.
Yes.
Second that motion.
Have a second by Troy Sprinkle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for your work.
Yes.
Yep, 45,760.
Thought that 12 cents would have been a deal breaker.
I won't let her know.
We
if you take it
appreciate
off.
what you're doing.
Yes.
for our-
I really
for our
appreciate your
veterans of our
support of us
community.
very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any other business to come before the council this evening? And there'll be some documents to sign because there'll be that salary ordinance adjustment on there as well.
Vicki Kivett makes the motion that we adjourn.
We'll second that.
And Melissa Green seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
7-0.